Well, YouTube, it is pretty much an ongoing thing or theme that I never really plan any of my videos. Like, I always have my camera with me just in case something happens. Like in the case of the YouTube short that I have that's sitting at almost 610,000 views right now. You know, I've always got my camera with me, so in case something like that happens, you know, I've got the footage. And it's no different this afternoon. Just out riding around, looking for somewhere I want to fish, and where I wanted to fish, somebody was at. So we're down here along the river, and we're just gonna walk the bank for a little bit and just see what all wants to bite. Little fish, big fish, whatever. We'll start off with a little floating fly. So we'll trout magnet float with a 1/200th ounce red trout magnet and on an ultralight and 4-pound mono. So let's see what we can catch. It's a tad warm out here. I ain't gonna lie about that part. Ooh, already got bit. Darn it. Already got bit. The reason I'm using a little float is this 1/200th ounce head is almost impossible to cast with any ultralight and 4-pound mono. It's just too stiff, won't cast worth crap at all. So you have to have some kind of weight to go with it. Hey, that was quick. I wasn't even paying attention. I was looking down there at the bridge and I heard a pop. And it was my my bobber going down. Man, even these tiny little bluegill make that bait look huge. And you know, I was discussing with Creek Fishing Adventures a couple of days ago when we were out at another place. I never really use bobbers anymore. Like, I don't have a problem with it. I don't think it's stupid or anything. I just never use them. And what perfect time to, when you're using an ultralight bait that you can't really cast. Got it. Oh, it came off, dang it. And you know, these upside of these 1/200th ounce heads, or you could even use like a 100th ounce, 80th ounce, whatever. These micro heads like this, you don't have to have dedicated bodies like the trout magnet bodies to use on them. You can just take a damaged bass worm or whatever and just cut it down into a tiny little piece. Like this is, I think, 3/4 of an inch, something like that. Tiny, tiny little pieces of plastic. And they work just fine on them. Got it. There's the little gillikin. This one's kind of scrawny, which they've got all kinds of stuff to eat. You know, bugs and stuff crawling off the rocks, and flies and crawdads and stuff. Actually, hey, I see a spinnerbait. Oh, that's just some cheap little arky or something like that. There's another spinnerbait right there too. I've got that wrapped all over my line. This is definitely one of the cheap, like, dollar spinnerbaits from Walmart, and it's still in, you know, halfway decent shape. Skirt's kind of jacked up, but still usable. I'm gonna set that up here. I'll get that other one before I leave, and we'll have free baits. Oh, heck, I got one and didn't even know it. It must have came and picked it up as soon as I started to reel away from it. Got a little red ear sunfish. That was fun. All right, we're going to give it a few more minutes right here, and then we're going to work our way down to these trees down here and see what we can get. There we go. This one is another tiny little red ear sunfish. I like red ear sunfish. They fight hard. They got a lot of attitude. They don't leave trash laying around on the riverbanks like these people do that leave stuff laying around for when they're up here carp fishing. Now this right here is one time that I don't mind fishing when it's breezy or windy outside, because if I'm doing a little float and fly deal, you know, I'm pulling it along to kind of give the bait or lure some action, make it look like something the bluegill or whatever might want to eat. Well, with that wind, it's doing all that work for me. It's not necessarily an irritating thing to deal with. Now, if I was just using a jig head and trying to keep it in one place without a bobber or something like that, then yeah, I'd be a little bit more irritated with the wind. Oh, that one just snuck up on me. You ain't the one that I just caught, are you? No, you're not the one I just caught. I think what I'm going to do here in a minute, though, is change up from this little red trout magnet to chartreuse or something else, because I mean it is pretty cloudy, overcast today, so that little red color may be a little hard for them to see. Got it. That one swimmed with it for a second. Chill. Another little red ear. I'm kind of figuring out that I've got to not set the hook into them, but belly flop, sorry, but kind of lean into them. That way I don't rip it out of their mouth. No. No. I knew I was going to get stuck right there. Fortunately, I've got some more of these little... Hey, maybe I can get my bobber back. If not, I've got one more with me, I think. Yes, I've got one more with me. But this is the little trout magnet kit. I've obviously, you know, added a bunch of stuff, just trimming old plastics up and, you know, making baits. But you come with, or get a couple of different colors. You get 10 pink ones, 10 white ones, 10 black ones, 10 salmon fix, whatever that is, 10 red, 10 chartreuse, and 10 olives with 15 size 14 1/200th ounce heads, which half of these baits that are in this right now ain't trout magnet heads or bodies or whatever. It's just pieces of little bass lures that I trimmed up and made baits for them. And I think that one might work. Got a little white one here that's already rigged up. And what we're going to do, you know what? We're not going to tie a loop knot. We're just going to do a simple improved clinch, which is unnecessary for such a small lure and all that, but that's what we're going to use. All right, I got that bobber about 8 inches above the bait. Ooh, that ground is soft way up the bank. It hasn't fully dried out from all the rain we haven't got. And man, there's a lot of deer tracks down here. I would have just come and sit on this. Ooh, can't step there. I would have just come and sit on this bank with my muzzle loader. Away from the log. I think I missed you already because I was reeling in and felt something bite. Teeny tiny little gill. Now if I wanted to put you on a hook and use you as bait, you'd be perfect size, because they ain't a channel cat or bass or anything in this section of the river or anywhere that couldn't get you down. Oh, shoot. I got a fish and didn't even know it. Oh, you got mud all over your face. Let's wash that off. Wash you off, give you a bath. A little red ear. I have to be real careful right here because I can just barely see where it is, but there's a tree branch or a tree limb or something laying parallel with the bank about 10 feet out and what looks like about 2 or 3 feet down. Alright, we're going to try something real quick. And I don't even know if it'll work because these eyelets on these hooks are so freaking small. But we're going to try a double jig. There's one already rigged up. Just barely. Like that, just barely will fit through there. Like it, the eyelets on these hooks are so small that pretty much, like this is 4 pound, but doubled over. 8 pound test just barely fits through the eyelets. Let's put that little orange thing on there. That's not one of the trout magnet baits, but we'll use it. I get a little bit more distance with the 2 200th ounce heads. Hey, we got the little orange one, little red ear. You know, there's people out there that will complain and gripe and whine about catching little fish like this. Oh, I'm gonna shoot myself. But hey, to me, a fish is a fish. I'd rather catch little ones than not catch anything. Without having to deal with the snagging and tree limbs and stuff like that behind me. Alright, well, like the last 3 times I've tried to fix my little issue here, I had a little wind knot. And instead of cutting and retying everything, I'm going to jerry rig this just with a little overhand knot up above my top jig head. And I believe that'll work. Gotcha. This one feels a little bit nicer. It's because it is one of the nicer ends of the day. Went for that top one. Didn't pay no attention to that other chunk of line that was hanging there. Alright, get my phone out here. And if you're wondering why I take a picture of every fish I catch, it's because I have a logbook. Taking a picture is the easiest way for me to remember what I caught, when, and where. And that's not how I wanted to untangle. There we go. But I ended up raising my bobber up about another 7 or 8 inches so that it'll get down a little bit farther, because this little creek mouth right here gets kind of ish deep right here at the very mouth of it. And the last few times I fished this, they've really been holding closer to the bottom. Well, YouTube, it's the next day, and I didn't record an outro. Actually, I did, but I deleted it. Decided I was going to use it, and was going to pull it out of my trash folder, and accidentally deleted it completely. Anyway, that was actually really fun. Like, I've been using bobbers my whole life, but for the longest time, I haven't been. And using them in this video felt just as fun as the first time I seen a bobber go down. Like, I've always had bobbers on me, I just rarely ever used them. But really, that's mostly because I use baits that are too heavy for the bobbers. But that was freaking awesome. Even on the little bluegill, just seeing that bobber go down or start moving, that was awesome. Now, if I was to redo this whole video, I would have went with a longer rod. Like I said, you know, shorter rods like 6 foot, 5'6", 6'6", whatever, it would work fine. Obviously it did. But when you're gonna have a lot of slack line and you want to get that hook set properly and get that slack line took up, a longer rod like 7 foot to personally 9 foot. I don't like using rods longer than about 8 foot really, but 7 to 9 foot is going to take up that slack line a whole lot better. Now, if you're out crappie fishing and doing this, there's rods out there upwards of 18 feet long. I get the reason behind those longer rods like that, but you know, it's kind of pointless to me. There's no reason for me to own a rod that long. This outro has gone on way too long. I'll definitely be doing another float and fly video probably soon. I don't know. We'll just see how it goes. Hope you like this video. Thanks for watching.